But working in the US, I began to sense that America's attitude towards sex was somehow different. In Australia, where I grew up, and in Europe, where I lived for 5 years, there's just as much sex in the media, but there's a different atmosphere.
So that if guys don't carry a condom, that's really, I don't know. If they don't, you're like, okay, bye, see ya. Nice to meet you. There it is. That's so short, but still got it. Safe. If I met a guy and he had a condom in his wallet, I would probably not necessarily lose respect for him, but I would just have a completely different view of him. Like, it would really change what I thought about him.
I found the condom in a guy's wallet. I would run. I would really think that he was the best guy after that. I think he's a pervert. I think he's a douchebag.
In America, like the African American community only makes up 15% of America, and yet they make up 50% of all new HIV and AIDS infections. And there's a huge problem, obviously, with teen pregnancy, especially here.
Absolutely.
What was the statistic you told me?
16 young girls a week become pregnant in the ages of 15 to 19. In
terms of the African American community, why is it such a problem?
The epidemic is, I believe, that sex is not talked about in church.
For most American kids, college is the first taste of freedom.
Yes! Good. College means sex. College.
Most of the sexual information I acquired was through locker room talk with crude boys.
Do you think that was accurate information?
No.
Dude, you get into the most trouble in your life listening to a friend who's just bullshitting, trying to impress you with a sex story when they don't fucking know exactly what they're talking about.
Get shit like, dude, girls can't get pregnant the first time they
Or how about, dude, if you have sex, you know, like if you pull out, you'll be fine. It's like if you have sex in the water, ain't nothing gonna happen to you. Like,
if they're on top, it's probably
exactly.
I moved to America about 10 years ago. I love New York City. The people, the energy. Living in America, you can't help but notice how much sex is a part of the culture, especially youth culture, where sexual imagery is such an inescapable part of teen life.
We see patterns in the language that tell us that we're putting sex in the same category as cocaine, as heroin. Sex is something that is scary, it is threatening, it is dangerous, it is compulsive. Or like a contaminant, which we see when we talk about dirty thoughts and filthy language and polluting young minds with sex ed.
But when you're ready to be with someone, the most important thing is that you really love this person, because it is a huge deal. It's not just something it's like to get over with, so it's done and behind you. And I will tell you that yes, your dad was the first person that I had sex with, and he was the only person that I had sex with for over 26 years.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
It was a very awkward conversation.
And I asked her, you know, what about sex? She said, well, Dad, I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have sex till I get married. It's coming from the upbringing. Her mother bringing her up, you know, bringing her up through church and letting her understand who Jesus and who God is. So they have that fear, not necessarily fear, but they have the understanding of what sex and what all relationship is all about.
I don't think that she's ready for it, and she doesn't think she's ready for it, and I do believe that Kelsey is a hopeless romantic, and she is waiting to fall in love.
I just can't imagine telling her, because she has such strong opinions about it. I mean, it was hard enough telling her that I got a tattoo. I mean, that was just like the world had ended. I couldn't even imagine what it would be like if I told her that I wasn't a virgin anymore.
That is not, we teach our kids math, we teach our kids, you know, reading, we teach them science, but we don't teach them about their body and how to be responsible. how as a community are we saying we're doing right by the youth if we're not doing everything? Absolutely. And teaching about sex and responsibility is a part of life as this algebra is or English is. I don't understand.